A school here in Lloydminster welcomed a new addition to their outdoor classroom space. Here's a look at the Indigenous values integrated into the project. Staff and parents have been working on the outdoor classroom space for a number of years here at Mother Teresa Early Childhood Education Center. The space gives students the ability to learn in a new environment, as kids have been spending less time outdoors in recent years.
Out here, the kids have so many opportunities that they don't have in the classroom. They can play on the music wall, they can practice some gross motor and fine motor skills. There's tables out here where they can do art, and recently we've really started with gardening.
A lot of fundraising work has gone into adding more features to the space. The newest addition is a statue of a bear with different cultural symbols included. The statue was made possible with the help of a Truth and Reconciliation grant, and it isn't the only item in the classroom with an Indigenous meaning.
There's so many teaching tools here in itself, like the sunflowers, the teepee, the mural. We have the bear musquash here, so we have so many things. And then the kids are able to go along the playground and find these symbols around, and they all have their meanings and stuff, and they've all come from cultural meanings.
Grade 2 students who've taken part in the scavenger hunt have learned a lot about the symbols.
The eagle feather, because it represents power and wisdom. The hummingbird, because it represents peace and joy. The hats, because they represent that we're all friends.
The district's Aboriginal Program Coordinator shares how she helps to guide and support teachers when it comes to Indigenous teachings, including recommending the bear statue over a less culturally significant totem pole.
It's nice that the teachers come to me and they ask, like, in this area, what traditionally would happen, what can we do to be as true as we can be to this area. So that's always nice, and then we look at things in different ways to incorporate them into the school and how they fit into our curriculum.
The outdoor classroom has already been a hit with students and educators.
I can come here and I can give you 7 different lessons right away, and then we can walk around and find all the meanings behind it. I can use the mural. There's lessons in that. There's our three groups of people Indigenous to Canada. There's the polar bear, the buffalo, the canoe, the voyageur canoe, the eagle feathers, the teepees, igloos. Everything is a teaching thing out here, and yet it's just so beautiful and incorporated into this little outdoor classroom.
The school plans to add a tree to the classroom in the spring and say the public is encouraged to respectfully enjoy the space as well. With October representing the month of thankfulness and the fall season, staff at LCSD had a reading with students at St. Joseph's Elementary School. Inspirational stories were shared and kids asked questions while everyone shared what they were most thankful for. With situations getting back to normal after the past few years, the staff are glad to spend time in classrooms with all of the students in person.
Sometimes we do get some interesting questions. Sometimes we get a hug, and sometimes they try and figure out what gray hair and a gray beard feels like. So you get all sorts of excitement when you're in with kindergarten.
The staff read the book Nothing Can Separate You from God's Love with the kindergarten class, which they believe sent a strong message for the students. In the past 5 years, the education leadership has purchased a book for every kindergarten classroom to enjoy.
Shares the spirit. It comes back twofold, I think. When you get to share some time with 5-year-olds, any day with a 5-year-old's a good day. We're very thankful to be able to be here and just sharing this and to see where the kids are and what's going. We were a couple years out of the classroom, so having an opportunity to be back in and be face-to-face with kids is fantastic.
And just in time for Halloween, the Wainwright Haunted House is back. Arian Tidswell went down to check it out.
When we arrived, we were paired with Nancy and Chad to follow the clues and make our way through the maze.
Absolutely. It's a phenomenal experience. I absolutely enjoy it, and it was great to be brought up in this kind of thing from when my parents started. I don't know, it's cool to watch it and be in it.
All these frights are a labor of love for the people delivering them.
all of it is really great. There's really no specific favorites part, but if I had to choose, it would be sitting back and watching people scream. Just the reactions.
An atmosphere that gets exactly the reaction they're looking for.
Doctors and patients alike will scream, for they have no key other than the way out. Doctors and patients alike will scream. Do you have the way out?
Get out or you'll turn into one of them. Oh my God.
Okay, searching high and low in another forest you must go for the bones to make your escape.
All this ghoulish fun raises money for Jumpstart Kids and food items for the food bank.
Hi. That way? Okay, we're out of here. Well, that certainly was a little more than spooktacular, like Sarah said. For Primetime Local News, I'm Ian Tidswell.
And now it's time for us to check in for the first time with Shelby Clark, who has a look at your evening weather forecast.
Thank you so much, Mr. J. Smacky. Really glad to know that they found that cat. Very cute story there. Really glad to hear about that. Couldn't imagine losing my pet, especially when it's starting to get darker out a lot sooner. And now looking at our weather forecast here in the border city, we are sitting at 15, so we have warmed up, after the past couple days. Definitely seen some much more cooler temperatures. Now we are at 15, but we aren't seeing too much sun. We're starting to see a little bit more cloudiness throughout the sky throughout the day today. So hopefully everybody is still enjoying their day, because, I would say, having that warm temperature outside definitely makes it a lot better, and nice start to the weekend as we get closer. Yeah, beautiful, exactly, Jace. Switching over to temperatures across the region for Alberta and Saskatchewan, we are kind of seeing those double-digit temps kind of continue on for today throughout these other spots as well. Most spots seeing around that 13, 14 degree mark. 15 degrees for Bakerville as well as down in Provost. Seeing that 16 up in Lac La Biche, and over in Edmonton seeing the warmest at 17 degrees. So good for Edmonton, seeing the warmest on this side for sure, and we are seeing that 12 in St. Paul. So St. Paul is looking the coolest compared to the rest, but still all spots are seeing those double-digit temperatures, so I think we won't be complaining. Switching to our Saskatchewan side now, they are kind of seeing the same conditions as what we are looking at the Alberta side as well, with most spots seeing 13, 14 degrees over on this side. Over in Green Lake, just seeing slightly cooler at 12, but still past that double-digit with that 10, so I think we're all looking pretty warm for today. North Battleford will be going down to a low of -2 for their evening low. So we will be seeing those minuses, of course, again come up for our evening low temperatures. But, not doing too bad. We have been seeing some much cooler temperatures throughout the week. So I think we are seeing the warmest evening low temperatures in the surrounding areas and for us here in the border city that we will expect. Then tomorrow they will be looking at 11. So seeing a nice Friday for North Battleford and seeing a mixture of some sun and clouds. Going over to Cold Lake, they will be going out to low of 1, so they aren't even seeing that minus mark for tonight. They will be just seeing that 1 mark for their evening low. So seeing that plus temperature, really nice to see. We are seeing a beautiful evening, I would say, compared to what we are going to be getting in the winter season. Then tomorrow, 12 degrees and seeing a mixture of some sun and cloud and a slight breeze throughout the day, but, not looking too bad, just around 17 kilometers an hour. So still looking quite beautiful for Cold Lake tomorrow. And for us here in the border city, we will be seeing that 0 for our evening low. So aren't seeing too bad of a minus temperature either. Good for us. We are going to be seeing some cloudiness in the skies, but condition-wise, it'll be pretty nice. We won't be seeing a high chance of some precipitation or flurries, so no complaints there. Then tomorrow for our Friday, 10 degrees to start off our weekend, so not too bad. For the Halloween weekend, seeing some nice good temperatures, I would say. And ending off with some weather photo submissions, but this one is of haunted houses, of people's decorated houses. Thank you to everyone that have submitted so far. We're going to showcase them on our show for the next few days until Tuesday, so please make sure to comment below. Beautiful shots, beautiful. Love seeing everyone's nice decorations. And that's all I have for now. We'll have more coming up after the break.
As we shift into the world of athletics, we showed you the Lloydminster Barons Football Club getting prepared for their semi-final showdown with their arch rivals in the Holy Rosary Raiders. Well, now it's time we show you the undefeated Raiders getting ready for Friday's tilt. Adil Ahmed has the story.
It's always a game we always look forward to for both sides. A lot of trash talking. Then you come out, see who comes up on top, and I don't know, it's just a fun game. It's one you always remember.
They always come to play, we always come to play. It's always a tough, hard-nosed football game every single time we meet.
The days are winding down for the Holy Rosary Raiders before they face off against their arch rivals in the Lloydminster Barons at home. They will have an offensive line in Friday's tilt that's mixed with grade 10s and 11s. And although they have been starters throughout the season, head coach Vince Oreo says they're in a position to be starting for good reason.
They're well coached and they want to get coached, so they work really hard. Not every game's been great, but every game's been pretty good. You look at the record and everything starts in the trenches, and if we're putting up 35, 40, 50 points a game, that starts with the offensive line. So we're really happy with that group of kids.
And on the defensive side, it's been just as dominant as their offense, allowing only 25 total points to their opponents. That's good for first in the WFL. And the reason for that success comes from what the Raiders do off the field.
We're always in the classroom together, watching film, getting better every day, learning what our opponents are going to do, so that when we come out on game day, we already know what's going to happen.
And as the days near, the excitement is starting to build up in the players.
It's just crosstown rival. Nothing better than being the top in your city, and then maybe going to provincials, but that's always our first big goal, is to beat comp. It's always really nerve-wracking. As soon as you step on the field, adrenaline starts pumping.
Kickoff time for Friday's game will be at 7 o'clock. Adil Ahmed, Primetime, Local Sports.
And now as we head to break, it's time to take a look at our Pet of the Day photo submissions. Thanks to everyone who've submitted their pets so far this week. And if you haven't, you have one day left to do it. Head over to our Facebook page to participate.
See your pets. Send photos of your pet and their name to our Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram to have them featured on Pet of the Day. Your name will be entered into a weekly draw for a gift certificate from the Pet Pad.
Ahead of their big show tomorrow night, I sat down with Spencer Love of Love Wrestling. Here's a taste of that full interview, which can be found on our YouTube channel.
Just this last month, you've had people on the roster show up on major WWE programming. You've had wrestlers be hired on through AEW. What's it like to see the people that you work with grow just as big as you're growing yourself?
Man, nothing makes me prouder, to be honest with you. And I compare it a lot to my work. I work as my other job in the Sherwood Park Crusaders, the AJHL. I know you're going to be familiar with. Maybe I was just going to say maybe there might be some people tuning out after that. So sorry, but the AJHL's modus operandi, of course, is provide great hockey, but most importantly, push kids, push employees, push everybody on to whatever opportunity they may see next is the next step for them. So whether that's post-secondary education, whether that's the NHL, anything in between, that's our job, is to prime these people for success and hopefully provide them a platform to earn those opportunities. For me with Love Pro Wrestling, and yes, we're only in a year, there are definitely promotions running longer that have done things, that are running more often, monthly, whatever it may be. But for me, the thing I'm most proud of is that the fact that not only do I know that our footage and our shows have been foundational to that sort of success, but seeing those people go out and earn the opportunities themselves, right? I was at the Monday Night Raw here on September 26th, and I can tell you, I had no idea that we were going to see Michael Richard Blaze, Jack Pride, and Stephen Crow pop up on TV. I was probably the loudest guy in that arena at that point, right? Kid Chocolate Mo Jabari, same thing. Even tonight, Casey Spinelli, who's been a member of our roster and one of the best human beings I know, frankly, since day one. She's on AEW Dark tonight, a week after you've got the Bollywood Boys and the Voros Twins and Jody Threat, right? It's very, very cool for me that people are earning those opportunities, getting them, and that we've played a small part in it. For whatever stock people put into it, whether positive, negative, anywhere in between, the PWI, Pro Wrestling Illustrated, puts out a weekly ranking of Canadian professional wrestlers. And we're very proud that not only do we have wrestlers on that, but we're the only promotion putting out 3 or 4 or 5 people on that list every single week. Whatever we can be doing or whatever we have done to be able to earn those people those opportunities, heck yeah. But more importantly for me, I'm proud we're a small part in the hard work that they've put in, because frankly, I know that there are people, and we've lucked into this, don't get me wrong, that see those people on TV, see the coverage, find out about them and say, let's go check out pro wrestling in our own backyard, because by my money, there is no better form of entertainment than professional wrestling. There really isn't. So to play a small part in that is very, very cool. And to be honest with you, I am the first one losing it and screaming my lungs out when those people are on TV, internet streams, wherever it may be.
Furniture set and design supplied by Furniture Gallery and Furniture House, downtown Lloydminster.
I'd like to thank you, Vicki Stark, so much for joining us today here on Primetime Local News to talk about your book, Runaway Husbands.
I'm delighted to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
So your book, what inspired you to write it?
So I'm a psychotherapist and a marriage counselor. And back in 2006, I had been in what I believe to be a very happy marriage for 21 years. And then one day my husband came home from work, tapped me on the shoulder and said, "It's over." And it came completely out of the blue. I didn't see it coming at all. We hadn't talked about having problems or needing to go for therapy or fighting unusually or whatever. And right then and there on that day, he sort of threw his stuff into garbage bags, threw it in the trunk of his car, and moved out and moved in with a girlfriend that I knew nothing about. So here I am. I'm a marriage counselor. If anyone should know what's going on, it should be me, but I didn't have any signs. And so I went through a very, very painful, traumatic period of time trying to understand, how does this happen? How does somebody morph overnight from a loving husband to, virtually an angry stranger? So as I started researching this and found that there was nothing written about it, I started a research study, and I heard from 400 women worldwide who had experienced this phenomenon, which I came to call wife abandonment syndrome. And from the data and talking with these women, it seemed to be a very, very clear pattern that men put into place when they leave suddenly from a marriage without having ever told the wife that they were unhappy or thinking of leaving. And so that led to my writing the book, Runaway Husbands, and developing the website, runawayhusbands.com. And since then, since the book came out in 2010, I've developed this worldwide community of women who have experienced the same thing and who are struggling to recover, and who are helping each other through this whole process.
So what do you want the people who read your book to take away from it?
First of all, most of the women to whom this happens go into a very, very dark place. It's very, very traumatic. So like for myself, I lost 30 pounds. I was, really struggling to function. And I'm someone with a lot of support in my life. And so that the women to whom this happens are really, really struggling. They're having a very hard time. And so very often they feel like they're completely alone in the world, that nobody else has gone through this weird thing of a husband leaving out of the blue. And then the husband, meanwhile, is telling them things like, "I was never happy. It was never a good marriage. Remember that time we went to California on vacation and you thought we were having such a good time? Well, I was miserable." And the wife is like, "Oh my God, that doesn't make any sense. The things that he's saying don't make any sense." So they feel like they're, my perception of reality has been totally, tampered with. So they feel like they're crazy. So that when they locate our community, when they locate Runaway Husbands and they locate the website, they feel finally, I'm not alone and I'm not crazy. And so what I help them with is how to step by step recover and start to rebuild a new life as a single individual. In spite of the fact that many of the women in the Runaway Husbands community have been married for long periods of time. I mean, it's not unusual for someone to have been married 20, 30, or 40 years.
Thank you again so much for being here and talking about your book.
It was a pleasure. And once again, thank you for inviting me. And if anybody knows about someone who's struggling with this, just go to runawayhusbands.com and they'll be able to locate us.
And thank you all for joining us for Primetime Local News. We'll see you again tomorrow. Have a good night.